Hello, everyone out there in internet land. Welcome to another week of Spy Party. This is the Sunday evening, week 7 Spy Party Competitive League cast. I am your host, Lieutenant Hummus. Joined with me week after week, as always, are Taboshi and Warning Track, the casters you know so well. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
How are the both of you doing on this fine Sunday?
I'm doing very well. How are things with you guys?
Doing pretty good here. Gorgeous weather this week. Great weather to be inside watching video games.
Yes, an absolute perfect weather. It is like, whatever. It's like 73 degrees. I was outside earlier. It's fine. I can be
Honestly,
inside.
it's just a testament to this game that we would rather be inside watching it than outside in this lovely, lovely weather. What more can you say?
That is true. Yeah, so we've got 3 good matches picked out for you now. We've got starting out. What are we starting at? Oh yeah, that's right. I told you, Catnip versus Sgnurf. And then after that, we have a live game, KCM versus Crazy Kaylee. And then we're going to be finishing up with Dowsy versus Plastics. Or at least I think that's what I told you two that we're going to be casting, right?
We're ready for anything.
You're ready for anything. Yes.
I've got like 5 or 6 different sets downloaded just in case.
Oh, good. I've got 3, so we'll figure. We'll see where we overlap.
We could cast Bubble Bobble, and I'd be ready to go, man.
Oh, do you want to cast Bubble Bobble? Should we just shut this down and do it?
I don't want to.
No, I will do it.
I know you will.
Oh, it'll be.
I shouldn't have even mentioned it.
Oh, no, I want. Oh, it's so weird.
Maybe another day, Hummus.
Fine, maybe another day. Before I get distracted, let's hop right in.
I am down for this another day.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just take over the stream another day. We'll do some Bubble Bobble. But for now, let's hop over into the first game before I get distracted. That is going to be Catnip versus Sgnurf from our Bronze Division. And I know I had the draft. Oh, yes, I do have the draft. It's right here. Let us get into the draft. Oh, yeah, I should probably show the picks and bans. Bam! Oh! So close. I like intentionally was like, I'm not going to say bam when I switched over to the, game overview screen.
And then because you were thinking the word.
But then I was thinking about the, whatever, let's just get to the picks on
Don't
bans.
say bam, is what you're thinking. Don't think of the pink elephant.
Don't think of the pink elephants, I know. So Catnip starts out by banning Veranda any 5 of 8, and Sgnurf goes ahead and bans Ballroom any 4 of 8, any 2 of gosh.
Oh my god, I think we're gonna have a very interesting spy game.
Oh, this is gonna be a cast. I could already tell.
This is the 3rd time this year Catnip has banned Veranda. It's the only map other than High Rise she's banned more than once. Definitely just not a map she wants to play. And it's a map she didn't ban the first time they played, though, interestingly enough.
What did it end up getting picked that time, do you know?
Yeah, so she banned High Rise instead. I believe it was. No, sorry, she banned High Rise in week 2 here. It did not, yeah. So it's just interesting that, Catnip actually has selected, I think, 6 out of 10 possible maps this year.
Oh, wow.
And only banned a few. Really, if you look at her tendency, banning Veranda, one of her strongest tendencies on the pick ban stuff.
Excellent. Let's get into the picks. So Catnip goes ahead and picks the classic, the Courtyard, any 4 of 7s. Sgnurf picks... Sgnurf, a man after my own heart, picking my favorite map, Pub, any 4 of 7.
Right. So what's interesting about that is that Catnip picked Pub to double the first time they met, which they tied, by the way, 6-6. She picked Pub to double, and Nerf won 3 out of 4 on that map, her map.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So this time, it's the other way around.
And kind of Courtyard, standard little pick. Also, for the audience, real quick, I did a little bit of a change in the way I do audio, so if there's like some noise or anything, just complain in the chat and I'll take care of it. Let's see, the last picks are going to be...
There is something about Courtyard, though. You say standard pick. In this case, so I mentioned last time that she picked Pub and Nerf won 3 of 4, right? Not what you want from your own map pick. Well, Nerf picked Courtyard and she went 4-0.
Oh!
So, followed by Nerf then going 2-0 on her High Rise pick, and then a split on Balcony. So last time, in the first 3 maps, they just took each other's maps, like, badly. And you see that reflected here in the picks and bans the next time they meet, this time kind of switching spots. Let's see if it goes any differently.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Catnip, I don't believe this map was... Well, who knows? Picks up Modern, any 5 of 8, and Sgnurf finishes out the draft with Balcony, any 2 of 3.
It is the 2nd time Catnip has picked Modern, so not a favorite exactly, but maybe something she's getting more comfortable with. Hard to say. It's been at least a few weeks since he has, though.
Perfect. So let me actually load up the first replay, which I just didn't do. Where do we start out? We started off on Courtyard. Perfect. So that means we're starting off with Sgnurf as the spy. Let's switch over so the folks at home can see. That seems to be something quite important.
Sgnurf as the spy, indeed, as Alice Catnip on the sniper to start off the festivities this evening. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And again, Nerf picked Courtyard last time and lost all 4 games. Hopefully a little more ready, a little more prepared for it this time. But this time, let's Catnip pick it, which she does.
Starting things off with quite an early flirt for 34%. So, nice, basic, standard start, not doing anything too off the wall to start things out. Fairly early statue visit, though, which is a little bit unusual, and gets that standard statue visit highlight.
I like it. The fact, because it's unusual, basically. I think once you get up around bronze, you get to the point where people are aware enough of how counterintuitive it is to go to statues early on Courtyard that you can actually lose suspicion for it. I think if I were playing maybe in Iron or lower or something like that, I may or may not want to do something like that. But I think at this point, you have some really experienced players. Catnip has played quite a bit. I think it's a smart play.
Stepping in for the second flirt. Got a bit of a distance on this one, so we're going to want either this or the next flirt to come up green. And it was this one, so we're up to 74% there, keeping our options nice and wide open for the future. Contact coming off as well on a white test here. That's 1 low light, and I think that may be all. It looks like the twin over there was available for another one. White purloin, though, this could be really bad, and that's just a bullet.
Yeah. So that's a shame. I understand the decision, and I think this is one of those classic decisions, though, where if you get a green, it's pretty good. If you get a white, it's death. When you look at the clock there, there's a minute and a half left. You've got 2 and almost 3 missions done. I don't know. I feel like you can pick your spot there a little bit more. It started to feel like a rush, but it wasn't quick enough to be a rush. But it was slow enough that you could have just sort of, waited maybe for a better opportunity. The party was not that busy at that time. By the way, look at the ambassador too. The ambassador's in the same conversation right there, and with an SDA after the banana bread's gone off. So if you're Catnip, what reason do you have not to look at that conversation while the purloin is happening?
I like the timing. I certainly have nothing against throwing out a random unusual hardtail in the middle of the first game, but the positioning just wasn't what he wanted.
Right. It's not necessarily a bad idea in theory, but I think at minimum, when you want to do a hardtail, especially like a purloin on Courtyard, you want to see where that ambassador is. You at least need to be splitting their attention across that map.
Absolutely agree, but let's get on into the next one with Catnip on the spy this time. Actually, once again, playing as Alice. This time, Sgnurf on the sniper side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I'm amazed we actually managed to say a few things about what was ultimately just a white purloin on Courtyard. Usually that's the play there's the least to analyze.
You're not wrong. Starting things out with a quick white flirt in conversation with the double agent as well. So if there's a lot of people outside of conversation, or inside of conversation rather, we'll be able to get a quick contact off. It looks like a pretty good time for it as well.
But look at all these early statue visitors. Oh boy.
Indeed, lots of activity at the statues early on. So Catnip just deciding to let those highlights pile up, now going in, pulling the trigger on the contact. Comes
wipe
off,
out.
There should be 3 available lowlights.
I think maybe 4. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Several of them were highlights before, early statue visitors. I think I'm going to say unforced error there. It looked like a good banana bread, or a decent banana bread, let's say, until one more person left. But when you see those early statue visitors, I really think you want to preserve those at all costs.
Second flirt has come off. An interesting thing to note about the reaction to the contact there. We got 2 lowlights who were previously highlights, but one person who was highlight that should have been lowlit just got neutral lit.
Yes, one of the twins, I believe. Yeah, very interesting there. Might be tracking something there. I'm not sure.
Catnip had a bit of a weird path in the statues that it didn't look like it got noticed. Got a pair of inspects and a highlight for her troubles, but probably not any more suspicious than your standard statue visit as Catnip steps in for what will hopefully here be her final flirt. The distance is a little bit worrying. We do, however, get it finished up.
Look at how similar this was. With a similar amount of time, about a minute and a half on the clock, flirt was mostly done, inspect was done, contact was done. The only thing that was really different from the previous game, other than the absence of a white purloin in the sniper's face, of course, was the number of highlights and lowlights.
Standard situation now, a little under a minute left, and we have to find a hard tell somewhere. What is it going to be for Catnip? Looks like she's stepping into statues, possibly going to try to body block a swap at the end here, but Alice does not have a very large model, so it's going to have a hard time body blocking it, and just takes a bullet for her troubles. It's 1-all.
Yeah, so interesting. Was kind of crammed up against Irish there, and Irish got a highlight for it. I think Sgnurf was maybe thinking, this looks like a flirt. This looks like a spy smushed in somewhere where they shouldn't be, but I'm not sure which it was, because the only person who didn't already have a highlight got a highlight next to Alice. Then I thought I saw a wide turn into statues there, and obviously just going to statues at that point in the game, moderately suspicious. If you look at the sniper side, Sgnurf really looked like he was expecting something to happen there.
And there's a very good chance that flirt wasn't actually in range for the 3 flirt, but Catnip hit the green test, so it worked out.
That's something, yeah. I don't really have a problem with any of the meta level decisions. It just really looked like Sgnurf was waiting for that, the way he pounced. He came around that corner to see the swap, barely even saw it, and was already zoomed in and ready to shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, Sgnurf was very much on that as we step into the next round of Courtyard. Sgnurf back on the spy side, Catnip on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
2 fairly similar games at the beginning.
Sgnurf starting things off next to the ambassador instead of the seduction target, but Catnip is paying too close attention for him to be able to get a bug off.
The thing about Courtyard is...
the seduction target is feeling very kind and hands us a 51% flirt on a silver platter.
That'll work. You can't really orchestrate it, but you'll take it when it happens. The thing about Courtyard is you either decide to do something unusual like fingerprint and start planning for it earlier in the day, or in the game rather, or you try to frame maybe early. If you don't do that, you end up with a very standard game and they all start to bleed together. 3 soft tells and then a hard tell in the last 90 seconds.
Well, speaking of fingerprint, we do have one hot on the head stat on the left statue here. And, oh, wow! Ambassador is really putting his hands on these statues.
Yeah, and that's not great because you were only going to go to statues once, ideally. But you'll take it because there are a lot of more possible fingerprints out there. Oh, boy.
Oh! Oh! That was almost a missed shot.
Yeah, almost. I don't like the decision. It's early in the game. The ambassador is vulnerable at statues, and unless you really think you've got a sense of that laser latency, it's a big risk. They're either going to rotate or they're not. If they don't, it's wide open. I think I'd rather wait another second and go for that statue instead. Give myself some options.
Definitely didn't want a wrong arm bug there, but would have been caught on it either way.
Yes, I think so.
All right. Well, last game of Courtyard. It's currently 2-1. In favor of Sgnurf. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. It is 2-1 in favor of Sgnurf, heading into the 4th game.
Didn't Catnip win the last game?
Yeah, it's been all sniper wins so far.
So it should be 2-1 for Catnip, I think. Either way.
I believe so. Yep.
Let's get on to the next one in 3.
Oh, you're right.
1, playing it.
There we go. Ooh, takes control in empty conversation and leaves almost immediately. Enough going on that I don't think Sgnurf noticed at all, but there are a handful of snipers who would ding you for that.
Yeah, although the list of snipers who will ding you for that in time of chaos is relatively low.
It's me and Bloom, I think. And I have to watch it. I have to watch nothing happen for 99 games first before I actually catch someone doing it.
Slow start from Catnip here, not able to get any of the usual early progress in, so steps into statues next to the seduction target. Will she be able to get this flirt off? Yes, she does, just barely, and a green test as well for 51%. It does take an early highlight for it, but with the inspects done and half a flirt, I'd call that work. Oh, hello!
Oh boy. And the cooldown just happened just a few seconds earlier. Very close.
The sniper was on a bad rotation at the time as well, so we very easily could have hung around for an extra few moments to get that flirt off, but it may have been a bit more of a risk than Catnip wanted to take. Contact coming off here on a white test.
And the end of red.
One low light.
Yeah, I don't think you mind that early. I don't think you mind that early highlight much at all because there are quite a few, even though a couple just got knocked out.
Absolutely. Flirt getting finished up just now. Minute and 15 still left on the clock to find a hardtail somewhere. Might be able to find a bug if Sgnurf gets caught on a bad rotation, but the ambassador steps away. We still have a lineup for it, but it's not a pretty one anymore. And Sgnurf is guarding it fairly closely as well. It's a white test purloin.
And it's clear as day. Yeah, good angle.
Yeah. Nothing doing here on Courtyard. It's sniper wins all day long for the first set of games here. Stepping in to the pub next, it's going to be Sgnurf starting things out on the spy side, as expected. Catnip on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, 3 standard Courtyard games. Everyone gets away with the soft tails, and then a hard tail leads to a shot, and then just one where a bug happened earlier.
Yeah.
Pub, on the other hand, these games tend to be pretty varied.
Oh, very much so. Usually with Courtyard, one of the reasons people get so comfortable with it is because you can usually expect to see the same general game every time from the spy with some slight variations. Pub, however, is a beast in and of itself. We get an early flirt for 34% at the bar, pick up a delegate while we're at it. We'll see how Sgnurf plays this.
Yeah, there's really no reason not to pick it up unless you're worried you're going to misclick or something. You might as well have that in your back pocket.
Absolutely.
Now, what's interesting to me about Pub, and I don't think people talk about this quite enough, is that you can actually make a very good argument for at least 3 different highlight strategies. Highlight everyone who goes to bar for the delegate later, highlight everyone who goes to statues, which is standard across a bunch of maps, or highlight everyone who could have done a BB for real, which I've become a little partial to over the last couple of months.
Bit of a slow start for Sgnurf here. Stepping out for another flirt at the far conversation.
I think Nerf left during an idle animation there, but not a huge risk here.
Oh, not able to get the flirt off in time. Was paying too much attention to etiquette and wound up getting sunshined, but does step back in for the next flirt, and now we're in conversation with the double agent as well. Nothing came of the delegate, though.
Yeah.
There's the flirt coming off for 68%. Still in conversation with the double agent, and the conversations are relatively full, but just now the double agent steps away. This is a very slow game from Nerf so far.
You can still get a lot done in a hurry, and it's not, if the purloin were not so inviolable now, that'd be a pretty decent way to induce a shot. It's always a shame when you chase that seduction target to that far conversation on Pub where there's nothing else going on, there's not even a window to time at, and they leave. You really have no reason to be there after that.
Minute and 15 left on the clock. Not a single mission completion as of yet, but we do have 68% on the flirt. Let's see what we can do with it as the double agent steps back into conversation. Reverse drive-by bug? No. Picking up a contact instead. How many lowlights are we going to get from this?
There should be at least 4 here.
Catnip finds 3 of them.
Well, let's see if she gets twin. Twin, yeah. So
no, just takes a shot for late statue visit.
Wow. I'm a little curious about that. I first want to compliment Catnip. This is something I really like to see on Pub. It's the mark of a good sniper. When that banana bread goes off on Pub, get the lowlights outside the bar first. Anyone who comes through the door after that point, if you're paying enough attention, is an automatic lowlight. You can do that later. I think I'm gonna guess that it's mostly the split followed by the timing of the statue visit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because
100% it. Like that's, I mean,
because that
that's
seems like
pretty
a
common
3-5
on.
shot. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
definitely a 3-5 shot. And then, oh man, I want to kind of go back to what you were saying during the game about highlight strategies on pub. Um, yeah, a lot of the strategies, like especially for highlighting for single statues, I've seen a lot on 3-5 pub. Like 3-5 pub and 4-7 pub get played so differently, and then especially the real banana breaders on pub, I've seen a hell of a lot.
Yes, yeah, it's a little underpowered. I actually feel like the meta has shifted to the point where assuming real or fake banana breads, or at least marking or memorizing or something, paying a little more attention to that at higher levels, I think yields rewards.
Yeah, because it's pretty easy to catalog. Okay, I'll go back to my little booth and take it away.
All right, next game. Catnip on the spy this time around. Sgnurf on the sniper. In pub, any 4 of 7. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Really want to see what Nerf does with the next spy game. That kind of shot, you could think, boy, really, what did I do? You know, I did a couple things that were marginally suspicious, but it's, you know, they definitely didn't see me do anything really overt. So, are they?
Yeah.
Is Nerf gonna, you know, complete missions, be a little more timid? It's something to look out for in the next game.
Yeah, that was a very strong shot from Catnip coming out as she picks up her first delegate early on. The bug coming through, but doesn't take on the inside. They were both walking. Those are tricky bugs to get, but this time didn't work out for Catnip.
And tricky bugs to see. I don't really think Sgnurf saw anything. Just sort of a collision somewhere inside the bar there with that big pillar sort of in the way. Plenty of cover there. If they're not looking straight down that walkway, it can be very hard to see those.
Yeah, you just because those bugs are so incredibly difficult to pull off, most people don't even bother guarding for them because there's such a tiny likelihood that it's going to come off. We have sent out the delegate. We have gotten a 51% flirt. Let's see how things progress from here.
Big moment here. I want to see the highlights and lowlights after this.
There's the purloin getting taken.
And what happens? Oh, big pause. Big pause. What's going on? Whoa! Were you looking at the sniper cam there? That was something.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was. No,
Would you say,
no real reaction other than that, though.
Is that what it looks like when you throw the sniper for a loop? You get a literal loop out of it? I don't know. I'm not sure.
May well be fake contact. That was a very strong fake contact. Only 2 lowlights available from it, it looks like.
Well, the real thing is Catnip sees Rocker, the purloin victim, in a conversation with an SDA, I think.
Yeah.
The real, by the way, the one that Catnip knows is an SDA. Certainly, this is just a full-on frame attempt, I assume.
Yeah, seems that way.
But enough seduce progress that if you decide with, you know, about 30 or 40 seconds from now that you have to try to rush something at the end, you can.
Looks like that might have wanted to be a bug, but the ambassador left while it was happening, so we're just going to finish up the flirt while we're here. Minute and 15 left to play. We've got 2 completions to work with, and one hardtail done already, but...
Yeah, Catnip obviously doesn't want to go to statues here. The problem is if Nerf hasn't shot yet, there's a decent chance they're not going to unless Rocker helps you out, and going to the bar does not help you out.
What's the plan here for Catnip? How do we do this? Bug is not really available. She goes for it anyways. It was being guarded. She knew she had to take a difficult bug attempt on that one. Got it by unnoticed, but also the bug didn't take, except in the statues, gets the inspect, and gets a bullet.
Yep, there it is. That's why she didn't want to go to statues. She knew what she was up against there. But I think Catnip correctly deciding there, okay, this frame hasn't worked.
Yeah.
You know, if Rocker maybe doesn't go to bar, going to bar basically guarantees Rocker's not going to go to statues particularly soon either, which is kind of what you're hoping for there. If Nerf hasn't shot yet, they're probably not going to, and you have to decide if you're going to finish. I think it's a necessary choice, even though it was very unlikely to work.
Man, both of these pub games have been really high level stuff. Like strong plays from both spies and snipers.
Yeah, solid frame, but just even better patience on the sniper side. We love to see that. We love to see a good play on the spy side countered by a good sniper play, or vice versa. And I think that's what we just saw there. I think that was a pretty good frame attempt. I think in 3-5 it definitely would have worked. But on 4-7 it doesn't, and Nerf holds the shot.
Still tied up 3-3. It's the last couple of games of pub. Sgnurf starting things out on the spy side, Catnip on the sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mentioned before I wanted to see what Nerf does after that very, from Nerf's perspective, probably very aggressive shot in the last pub game.
Really nice looking bouncing from Sgnurf off the top there, but kind of thing you won't get low lit for because of how early on it is. 32% on the first flirt is just fine as well.
Yeah, even if you're going to do that kind of bouncing and you're playing someone, you do it well, you're playing someone who might conceivably low light for it, they're probably not going to do it that early. I'd say that's all downside at that point in the game.
Yeah. Just gotta make sure we get... Oh, it's not a pad! It's fine.
Ooh, leaps quick though. I don't think that would have been a problem, but just left really quick. Hopefully it looked like a bounce from the periphery.
Oh, this is not nearly close enough to the seduction target at this point. We're going to need a green test on one of these next two flirts if we want to get a 3 flirt here. Does hit the green on this one, up to 73%.
That's better. So obviously a green on either of the next 2 flirts does the trick, but you want it to happen now so that you can bank on the next one if you're close and plan around it. If you plan the rest of your game and you get away with a hardtail and then you need a green flirt at the very end, that's brutal. This is a much better way to do it.
Absolutely agree. First mission completion is going to be the inspect here, which is usually not what you want to see as a spy because that's going to net you a fair bit of suspicion, but at least you're not going to get shot for it.
Yeah, and there are plenty of highlights in this party. Granted, not all for statue visitors.
Grabbing the last flirt at the bar here, a nice unnecessary green test to finish that off, and picking up a delegate while we're at it.
So here's the question. Can you banana bread and delegate in a way that frames one of these highlights? Maybe in one big
Let's find out.
If you want to. You know, you don't even have to necessarily. There's plenty of options. The direct purloin is underrated because it seems so counterintuitive sometimes.
Minute and 30 left on the clock. Sgnurf has got options, certainly. Contact is still on the table. Bug is still on the table. Purloin is still on the table. There's the delegate.
There it is, and the double agent in conversation. 2 people just joined too, and both of them are highlights. This is actually a pretty good time to go over to that conversation of banana bread, except you're going to knock out the purloiner. That's the only risk. But the purloiner, by the way, already low lit, unknown I think to Nerf.
Yeah, it's so hard to track the sniper's low lights on any map.
Yeah, especially when they don't come from banana bread.
Here we go, stepping into the conversation with the double agent. See if we can pick up a contact here.
It expired.
Oh no! I knew there was a long lineup. I didn't know how long it was. There's the contact coming off. 1 low light, 2 low lights, 3, 4 now.
Ooh, one of those I think was maybe was Slim. I think Slim was alone. Okay, that's solid. Yeah.
Bug!
A lot of low lights.
Oh, it was a really nice bug.
Yes.
But it still gets caught by Catnip.
Wow. Yeah. Even if you don't see the bug, I think the path just looks so suspicious and that timing. What's interesting is it happened almost exactly 10 seconds after the banana bread. I think this is one of those situations where you want to thread the needle. You don't want to wait that long after the banana bread to go for the bug. You also don't want to do it immediately because that's one of the first things a sniper will look for. I think a couple seconds earlier it would have had a better chance while she was still finishing up those lowlights. But actually a pretty solid game from Nerf, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so as well. It would have been, obviously, it would have been great if that purloin had actually come off, but
I think that we probably wouldn't have seen the bug then. I think that you could see Nerf went into that conversation with the double agent right when the purloin was about to go off. The idea was, I think, to complete missions and distract from the purloin simultaneously, get your 10 seconds of confusion and get out of there. The bug, clearly a last-ditch effort. And by the way, look at that path. The AI would never take that path without some kind of impetus. Walk all the way around that conversation to go to the far conversation? No, they'd cut across the shorter distance.
Indeed. Catnip is currently up 4-3 going into the last game of pub. Sgnurf looking to keep the sniper party going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Even more than just a sniper party in this. There's not even any timeouts or anything here. It's all dead spies.
Also, Track, I totally agree. Taking immediate purloin is like so good. Totally
Right,
underrated.
because why would you?
Why
do
would
that?
you do
Who
it?
does that?
It's so stupid, especially if you can do it in like the first 10 seconds of the game. But that's neither here nor there.
Or the last 30, in my opinion. Yeah, I wouldn't do it in the middle of the game too often.
First flirt is done for 34%. Ambassador steps right up in next to us.
Oh, and
looking
it's just
like he's begging to get bugged.
And look at this, Nerf is off on the far right. That makes it, oh boy, Nerf was on the far right of the map. That bug would have been so hard to see.
Yeah, perfect position for it with the Ambassador, perfect position for it with the laser as well. Doesn't wind up hitting that right click, but does pick up the briefcase on the tail end of it for that early fingerprint. And we haven't seen any fingerprints so far on this map, so this could be what Catnip needs to break the sniper win streak.
I'm not sure we've seen fingerprints on any map, even during that courtyard game where we thought there were two of them active on statues, and we figured one of them for sure was gonna be picked up.
This is true.
And by the way, the Ambassador just picked up the far side statue on a map where Catnip's probably going to want inspects if she's not actively framing. I think this is a match made in heaven here. I would wait a little bit. I would even risk a difficult because it'll reduce some heat. But I think you got to go to that statue at some point in the next 30 or 40 seconds and try to finish this mission up.
Absolutely agree. Picks up a delegate, steps in for her second flirt, is ready to send off a delegate as well.
Let's see if they send off the delegate and then go to statues, try to get 3 things done at once.
This could be beautiful. Let's see what happens. It's going to be Alice that goes, I believe.
Now, you can wait a long time on pub, and that fingerprint's going to stay hot for a long time sometimes. And even if one person goes there, the difficult is a decent thing to bank on. It's the kind of thing that could steal you a spy win.
Contact comes off, lets off, I think, 3 lowlights, and the delegate goes, which make Alice look like she did a banana split there.
Oh, picks up a highlight, though. I think Nerf is on. Remember, it seemed like Nerf was really on the purloin last time. I think Nerf might be ready for this. Let's see what happens when this purloin goes off. I think Catnip could be in big trouble.
I think you may very well be right. Let's see. There's the take.
Did not happen in time.
It didn't happen in time.
Look at how
that
close
might
that
save Catnip here because that far statue's still hot.
Yep.
Go, Catnip, go.
I think that was a decent move, but I think Nerf, for whatever reason, is just really banking on these delegated purloins. Yeah. I think it helped tremendously last game, and I think it would have gotten Catnip killed here.
I think you're right. Not coming off, that may have saved her. Here's the fingerprint coming off. Here's the inspect coming off, but Sgnurf is on it. Wow. It's 4 apiece.
I think the purloin was probably a mistake, but it didn't end up hurting her. I think she did pretty much what she should have done, though, and Nerf was on it. I really just got to chalk this up to 2 really strong sniper games from Nerf. I think Catnip played 2 good pub games there. This one in particular I thought was better. I love the delay on that fingerprint, really letting it go. If anything, you might have wanted to be rooting for someone to pick it up because you'd rather fingerprint for the win. If you got a 50-50 AT rate, that's a pretty good odds for a spy win versus the lost heat. I think Nerf is just comfortable on pub and tracking things really, really well.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that the delegate purloin timer expired. Let's see. Whoops.
2 seconds, I think. 3 seconds.
It was so fast. Whoops.
I think it was 107, right? That it went off.
Yeah, 107.9. Whoops, I didn't mean to click play. So I know how to use this game.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, the list is on the table. It's like the split second before Alice reaches for the drink.
That is so close.
Yes.
That is so freaking close.
Yeah.
Now, I know Catnip died anyway, but I really think that was probably not going to work in that case. Nerf just everything about that highlight strategy. The highlight after Alice left for Catnip, just for being there, I think Nerf is just banking on these purloins. What's really impressive to me is that it didn't take and Nerf got the shot anyway. That's a little surprising and very impressive.
Yeah, really well done. Off to the next map, I say.
Off to the next map, indeed, and the next map is Modern. This map is gigantic.
This is the biggest map in the game, yes.
So we said courtyard games tend to bleed together and be really similar. Pub games are pretty close to unique. They're like beautiful little snowflakes. What I almost said at the time was, except for Modern. Those games are nothing alike ever, ever, ever. The only map more than pub maybe, where the games vary from game to game a lot, is Modern.
Indeed, there's a lot to like about this map. This is the new. Let's just do a little tour of the map. This is the newest map in the game. There's a lot of potential for microfilm cheese, kind of in the back end over here. Toby's behind the bar. There are a lot of statues. There's a set there. There's 2 sets over there. And there's kind of this dead area, which is really interesting. I don't know if people have kind of figured out what to do with this yet.
Die in it. Probably.
Die in it, yeah. Be like, I'm totally not doing anything, guys, as you like pull off 3 time ads.
Yep.
All right, let's take it away.
In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, this is one where I don't think, no matter how careful you are about the purloin, I don't think you're going to be able to catch it. You can maybe narrow it down.
Indeed. Ooh. A reasonably good bail almost gets Sgnurf Neutralite after the opening there. Didn't go for the Seduce because he knew he had to time things properly or else he was going to get nailed on it. Wound up getting nailed on it anyways.
And after no fingerprints for something like 7 games, we've got another fingerprint here. Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you're supposed to be going with the ambassador at bar. Like, I forget the exact rules here. Modern's testing my game knowledge a little bit.
I mean, it's a place where he can accept a briefcase, and it looked good.
Oh, quick leave. Interesting. I think Nerf noticed, oh, wait, I'm in a pointless conversation on Modern. I can't do this. I have to go.
Bit of a catch coming across the statues there on the way into Green Bookcase. Sgnurf is behind in many ways right now.
Yeah, but you can catch up in a hurry, especially if you get a drink in your hand. If you get that second fingerprint, things are going to get interesting in a hurry.
This is true. Nice in-conversation bug between... with another character in between. There's a contact coming off. And man, you were right. Sgnurf definitely caught up in a hurry.
Yeah, it's not that hard on Modern sometimes.
Look at all those little lights!
Yeah, and by the way, assumed fake on some of those. Catnip seeing 2 people alone in a conversation with no SDAs and deciding, you know what? I guess they could be flirting, but I'm just going to bank on this, if not being real, at least that the fake didn't come from this tiny conversation.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable assumption. A bit of a risk, of course, absolutely, but a calculated risk, and in this case, nets 2 more lowlights. And now this party is very whittled down.
Setting that green book right back where it came from. Only 1 minute and 35 left to play to get 3 missions. And this is going to be the first piece of flirt progress we get this game.
Yeah, I would feel much better if you had those 2 missions done, half a fingerprint, and a couple of flirts. The fact that this is the first flirt, though, you almost got to wonder, if you're still flirting at this point, are you really hoping to finish flirt? And if you're not going to finish flirt, you're either going to frame, so get on with that, or you're going to be doing some more hardtails.
33%. Second briefcase to finish up the fingerprint.
Now it's a little risky to do 2 briefcase fingerprints because you know they're going to be seen, both of them. It's not something like drinks or books or statues, which they may or may not remember to track appropriately. It can be much easier to miss those, especially in Modern. Tracking fingerprint on Modern is a chore, but you make it a lot easier on them when you do 2 briefcases.
A little bit late on the stop when the ambassador started moving as well. It hasn't been the cleanest game from Sgnurf, but the bug was beautiful. The second flirt has come off. We are going to need 1 more mission, and it looks like that's going to hopefully come in the form of a purloin.
They want a purloin and flirt. Here's the problem. I think this game was lost 60 seconds ago when Sgnurf did not time add.
Maybe. 15 seconds. Here comes the seduction target. If we can hit a green test here. It is green, but the shot comes off anyways on the white purloin. Let me see
here.
Was closer than it had any right to be.
Let me see if Catnip... I think Catnip... I mean, from the sniper's perspective, you can barely see that the list is gone. There's just this tiny little sliver of space between Nerf and Blondo there, the Duke. I guess enough to see that the list was gone, but I think really waiting for it to happen too.
Oh god, that was so close.
It was close. I really think that the problem where was Nerf not time adding until it got... not time adding earlier in the game. I think if you do that, you get done with the flirt. You can pick a lot of other things to do. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I do not mind that finish at all. I think with the selection target either there or staying in the conversation she was at would have caused overtime.
Right. That's kind of what I'm getting at, is that once you got in that position, you kind of had to do the kind of thing you did. Although, by the way, let's keep in mind this plan looked like it worked because the ST followed him to bar. You cannot have predicted that or hoped for that or planned for that, certainly. I think right. Once you got into that position, there's only so much you can do. We're never going to criticize a spy for doing something desperate in the waning seconds of a game. We can criticize them for getting into that position in the first place.
This is very true. Now Catnip stepping into the spy side of Modern in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Not a bad game played from Sgnurf, I don't think. I just think there are a couple things in there that would have made that a little more plausible.
Indeed.
But I gotta say, just the way Catnip reacted to that purloin, barely visible, shooting, taking the safety off almost immediately.
Yeah,
probably waiting. Yeah, probably waiting for it to happen. Late action, really.
Starting things out at green bookcase and immediately pulls one out after 2 cycles, I think. Stepping into conversation with the seduction target for the first flirt while she's at it.
Generally speaking, 2 cycles is probably the minimum you want to do if you're trying to play it safe. Most AIs will wait about 3, a handful will wait 2, very rarely 1, anything closer than that, and, well, depending on the sniper, pew pew pew.
I didn't think AIs could take out a book after 3 cycles. I thought if you went into your 3rd cycle, then you were guaranteed to be putting it back.
I thought 3 was the most common, but someone who's a bigger expert than me can certainly confirm. I wonder how suspicious this book is right now to Nerf. There was not a big delay between the transfer.
There was not indeed, but it doesn't look like we've been caught out on it. Oh, there's the highlight, so that could wind up being bad.
Yeah, I think that's trouble. I think so far it feels like the story of this game actually is that Nerf is sort of just banking on a few things, like banking on the purloin or monitoring the books in particular, and that those happen to be the things Catnip is doing.
Banana bread.
There's the contact, and there's
goodness.
the shot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much sure. Yeah.
On that microfilm.
Yep, that's all it is. Nerf, I don't know if Nerf is just on everything or game planning really well or just banking on the things Catnip has happened to be doing out of like partial luck, because there's a little bit of all that involved, of course. You never really know what your opponent's going to do. But whatever the specific reason for it, clearly sitting on the missions that Catnip is doing.
Yeah.
Could have been a little opposition research going on before the map.
Big fan of it. I admire that. I admire when people put in the time and put in the work. It feels like both of them are really on the other. Snipers so far.
Yeah, still all spy shots. This is as sniper party as it gets, but we are finishing the match off on balcony any 2 of 3. Risk of becoming enemies with Wodar, probably the most coin-flippy map in the game.
Well, so it's funny. I mentioned that in their previous map, they took a bunch of wins on each other's maps, right? 3-1, 4-0, and then 2-0. Well, the end of that was they split balcony.
Well, let's see if we get exactly the opposite going on here. Starting with Sgnurf on the spy and Catnip on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And remember, last time they tied 6-6, and now they're on balcony, and it's close yet again. These two obviously very evenly matched and really in tune with the other players' spy side. It's all snipers with these two.
That is a position for a bug if we were feeling very bold, but Sgnurf probably wisely decides not to and goes for a briefcase, which is very unusual. Another very unusual thing, no talks out of him yet, no flirts out of him yet, trying to pick up the first one at the window there and not getting it off. This is a weird game of SpyParty.
Well, balcony, you can get away with it, and that's one of the reasons why. right there.
Yeah, but the first flirt coming off with 1:10 left to play is this gonna happen?
No, but low lit for it, for all that wandering around and not doing much. I know it doesn't mean a ton on balcony necessarily, case in point, right back up. But, I think Catnip at least noticing that this doesn't look like a spy so far, because it doesn't.
No, it really doesn't, and it doesn't look like a completion either. If we stay in this spot, we're not going to be able to get the 2 flirt despite 49% on the first one. Here's the contact coming off, but we are not in range for a 51% green. And that might be what we need here.
Yeah, I think Allison Rocker. Oh boy! Wow.
What?
Well, here's the thing. We mentioned that window flirt attempt. It didn't quite take. But if you're the sniper, do you really know that? Or are you afraid that it did and you're watching out for it? And look at who Nerf is next to right there. I think Catnip just a little worried about a 2 flirt. Obviously, shooting for a 2 flirt, a little aggressive. But in this case, you also have a white BB to buttress it. And it is balcony. So there you go.
Huh. Yeah. I guess it must have been. That was a shot for a 2 flirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if you're near someone at windows, kind of early-ish on balcony, and you end up next to them again later, that's enough to make a sniper kind of paranoid, and sometimes rightly so.
Yeah. Yeah, and it certainly worked out for Catnip. Now she has hit 6. She has hit match point. We're still at all spy shots. If Catnip can break that pattern here, chances are she's going to be walking away with this with a win. Otherwise, it's going to be a drawn set with Sgnurf on the sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, what I really want to see, and what I want to see in pretty much any balcony game is, does it look like the spy is going to try to finish? You really don't have to.
Yeah. Not a very good opening position for the flirt. Gonna start with the contact here, and then might just do the red flirt and leave trick, but nope, just steps out innocently without talking.
Now, you got to notice there, you have to notice that Helen was the talker, and you got to think about this now. You can't necessarily actively frame. You're not going to be delegating purloins or anything. But, be aware. If for some reason you need to fake later or something, just be aware that this is probably the top suspect. Kind of a quick window leave, I think, although I've been told that I'm a little too paranoid about that.
Seduction target was in a really bad spot for a while there. We were just going window to window, waiting for a spot next to her to open up, and now that it finally has, this is an even later first flirt than Sgnurf was, but it's 51%.
That is enough that you can stay put and wait for another one. I think another wide path in the conversation. I think we've seen 3 or 4 of those tonight out of Catnip. Not going to hurt it from that angle, though.
Oh boy, we're in 2 flirt range, and at this rate, it looks like a 2 flirt is going to be necessary. Let's see if Catnip can win a game of balcony on a 3 green.
Yeah, it would be pretty hard for Nerf to shoot. It's tough to bank on, but here's the thing. You have to be pretty confident that if you hit it, that's the game, and you've already secured the tie. I don't really have a big problem with betting on the green to win if you're the kind of spy who can routinely hit, over half of them, let's say.
There's the cooldown. Here we go. It's a white test.
Uh-oh. Now what do? You just got to hope. There's no way. It's just a terrible position for it. I think you just have to hope that they feel like shooting someone.
Setting up for a panic bug here. Look at this. Here we go. Nope, never mind.
Oof. There it is. Well, hey, we got a little variety there at the end there.
It wasn't the spy shot, ladies and gentlemen.
Nobody died. Nobody died. The most exciting game of SpyParty where nothing ultimately happens. Here's what happened. A bunch of people stood on a balcony and chatted with each other for a little while, for about 2 minutes. That's about it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So these two now in bronze have played 24 games, and they are deadlocked 12-12, and will probably not play again this year. So let's just say pretty evenly matched, these two.
I would say pretty evenly matched, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that brings Catnip to 3-2-2 now in bronze, 8 points. That's perfectly respectable showing. Nandalas and Giatti, though, have a bit of a lead there. I think, let me see, I think Yachty has one more match to play as well. So I think Catnip a little bit on the outside looking in here still is going to have to go on a bit of a run and get a little bit of help at the end of the year to make it into the bronze finals. But has definitely acquitted herself well and is hanging around there in third place.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of our first match. Our next one is going to be live. I actually have no idea if the players are